In this episode, it's time to hook up our mud and dirt factory to the logistics network, including a new paddle boat to cross the swamp to the new train station and train line, as well as a new train to take the straw from our farm to the mud factory to make some packed mud. And I think the first thing on the agenda is to actually get a bunch of track, because I would like to set up my rail yard over here, train yard, whatever you want to call it, and set up a track that actually comes all the way down to our swamp area. I think the best way to do that is to just pull off of this set of tracks and start bringing that down towards the swamp. Although this is not exactly the most ideal junction, but life goes on. I think with this track, I'm kind of just going to wing it where it's going to go, because we are going to go through a few biomes over here. All that different kind of levels of height. So I think it's best just to get at least one track placed down, see where we go from there. And I have cleared some land around the swamp area where I kind of want my station to be, as it's going to be pretty much opposite where the mud and dirt farm is. We're going to have a boat going in between the main station and factory. And then with a little bit of a basic line in, I pretty much just need to start clearing out all these trees and stuff that are kind of in the way, including this big bit of dirt. And I think in order to do that, we're going to grab our big old drill boy, which I realized that we still haven't named. So if anybody has any name ideas for this big train, feel free to leave them in the comments. But one thing I need to figure out is one, turn it around first. Oh, I've accidentally put it inside of another train. That could be an issue. Let's try moving this a little bit further back. Okay, that's better. Yes, one issue where I've placed these at the moment is that they are no longer connected to my main line, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to get them back on. And honestly, I think with this stupid long one, I'm probably just gonna try and pick it up and place it on a small bit of track over here if it lets me. Slightly too far away. Okay, there we go. Move that over. And if we start moving this train towards the other train lines, although preferably not too quickly, I'm kind of hoping that I might be able to just pick this train up and place it over here for now. Oh, there we go. That did actually seem to work, so that's good. I think what I'll do is go off to the right-hand side here, just so we don't accidentally drill away at any of our train yard. That would be a bit unfortunate. And then we can start heading down our new line. Now, I think the drills appear to be on, so we can certainly start carving out some space around here for our tracks. And luckily, there isn't actually too much work to be done, so we can probably breeze through this relatively quickly. And I'll probably bring in my other machine at some point to help kind of place some tough on the ground and stuff, but mainly just want to use this for clearance for now. Oh, okay, well, something seems to be going wrong at the moment. Not sure why that didn't clear properly. It's possible that I went too quickly through it, but let's see if we can back up without it knocking me out again. Yeah, okay, that seems to be working. I think the angle of this meant that it didn't register the hits properly, so this should hopefully work properly now. And there we go, that's more or less all I needed to do, at least for that track. And then I'll also need to place a second track on the side so we can actually have the trains come back through here as well. There we go, there is our two basic lines in. Now, of course, over here, I do want to get in some kind of train station, probably in a similar design as our mud factory over there. And then I can hook it up to some kind of dock design that I'll probably have over here, with some chain conveyors going in between the two of them to transfer any items. But yeah, I think we'll just get started here. I think I'm going to do a bit of a time lapse this time, so let's go. And there we go, there is our swamp train station in. I did add a few little touches after the time lapse as well, including placing a bunch of mango leaves everywhere and some of these barrels. I like how this turned out. Funny enough, these rail bridges from McCall bridges are meant to be for like typical minecarts in Minecraft, but they do kind of work well with these lines as well, as you can kind of see the kind of red on each side of the track. And we've got our little open air roof with some leaves on top as well. The next thing I need to really do here is to actually build our dock down here. And I need it to be probably a similar height to this one over here. So I might just copy something similar to this one on the other side. Don't need to make it too overly complicated. And I also need to probably clear all these mangrove trees in between the two buildings. Because although the boat can probably go around them, I think I'd like to just clear out the visibility in between the two of them. And there we go, I can always re-add some trees once our boat is ready and set up. Okay, so for our little dock over here, I'm gonna probably just use some mangrove logs and probably make it about as wide as the arch on the train station. For the under supports, I'm gonna use some of these spruce fence gates, as well as some on top as well. And I think instead of using jungle slabs like over there, I think I'm gonna actually use some of these trapdoor variants, because once again these do allow you to see through underneath, I do rather like. As well as some of these distorted dark oak trapdoors like I used on the building over there, cover up some of the red. And there we go, a nice little simple dock. Now I guess the next thing I need to do is make a boat. And what I did do earlier this week was go into creative and actually, you know, start designing a boat. But I realized that in the whole 16 years, or however long it is, since I started playing Minecraft, I have literally never made a boat. Not a single time. And so it's kind of new to me, and I ended up making the entire thing in creative, and I'm going to just cannon it in. I'm not gonna lie, it's alright. It's an okay design, but I'm gonna go get my cannon. Okay, here's our cannon, and if we upload our boat and place it on the lily pad for now. And as you can see, this is more or less the boat design I came up with. Once again, you know, it's not my best work. I need some practice clearly making boats, but I made a quite simple boat, and there are some water wheels here to make it look like a paddle boat, but we need to just place it into our schematic cannon, figure out exactly all the items we need. Which, once again, you know, it's not too bad, it's not that much stuff. And what I can do is actually place down my diamond backpack directly next to it and just see what we already have, which is apparently not that much, so let's go and grab some stuff. Okay, now we should all be done with our material checklist, which we are. Make sure the schematic is in a good spot, which it is, and then let's get this cannon going. And there we go, there is our boat that's going to move all our stuff across the swamp here. We obviously do have some storage barrels, we have some packed mud and some straw bales. And this furnace is kind of meant to be the pretend engine that's kind of running these kind of water wheels. Now, one thing I actually did forget to do in my creative world was glue it together. So I guess I'll do that now. Thankfully, it shouldn't be too difficult. Use some dirt and make sure that we grab everything. Okay, there we go. That should be everything. I need to make sure I don't accidentally get these lily pads included in, and make sure that these bottom blocks also get included. And now I more or less just need to go underneath the swamp and build a tunnel, because obviously boats don't actually work in createmod by themselves magically, so we do need to dig a hole underneath and place some railway track. Okay, with our tunnel and rail down, which does a nice loop underneath the swamp, I need to actually set up our boat here, making sure to try and clear away a lot of this water that's here, so that I can bring some glass panes down. And I'm essentially just going to kind of place a train station here temporarily. Create a new train so I can place a bogie down. And just make sure that all of this is attached with some glue. Also, I did not know that tall seagrass can block all water from going in somewhere. That is news to me. If our train controls down, in theory I should be able to assemble here. There we go. Of course that is going to now actually bring in a bunch of water underneath, but that's fine. But it should mean our boat here would be able to start moving, although, this camera is ideal. You know what? We're gonna stay in first person, I guess. and move around. Hopefully we should be able to plop into this just fine. Okay, I did probably place this one block too far away, but I guess I can just fix that on the dock. But for the most part, this seems to be working all rather well. Probably have to get rid of that mangrove tree. It's a little bit close. I also need to place a seat down because I'm getting thrown around everywhere. And then with our train station set up on each side, I'm going to go find a mob of some nature. Hello, Mr. Cow, you will do. We'll place them in this seat. And if we set up a train schedule, pretty much it's just going to move between the dock and mud dirt, which is what I've called the station over at the factory. And we don't need this to go that often, so perhaps we'll make it every 30 seconds on each side. And then if we give it to our cow here, start following the schedule, and I kind of assume after 30 seconds the boat will start moving, which it certainly did. So across the water we go. Might have to slow this boat down actually a little bit. It's going pretty fast. And I guess also move this train station a little bit further back. But the grand scheme of things, it appears to be working. Okay, yes, I switched the speed to 20, and that seems to be a much more reasonable speed, I think. It's a shame that the water mills don't turn, but oh well. Okay, in terms of logistics, thinking of using some chain conveyors to come up and down from over here to make use of our post boxes attached to our train stations. And we can have a little belt on the dock here. I can use my frogs to come off this chain conveyor onto here, place some funnels down so that goes into the post box. And I kind of more or less need to do the same thing over here. But I do actually need to place a train station down over here so that I can actually hook up a post box and I can set up another frog port on top of this barrel here. That way, once I've figured out the address stuff, you come out of the post box, into this frog, down the chain conveyor, into this other frog, and into this post box for the boat to pick up. I think actually I can probably give this some form of naming scheme. I do want to keep them extremely short. And I think I'll call this like Swamp Train Station, so STS. And I'm actually going to leave this one deliberately unnamed. And I'm actually going to add a separate line over here that kind of mirrors this and have another post box over here and call this SD for Swamp Dock. And I can make sure I do the same thing by hooking up this to a frog port, and this one can only send packages. And then I guess if I actually come over to our factory over here, I want to set up something very similar, the kind of input and output. We make this our input, so this one can be Swamp Mud Factory, so SMF. Don't need to name this one. And so I think if we do a wildcard and SMF, that should mean any packages coming through here should definitely go into this frog port. Now I'll even add a wildcard on the end just in case. And then I kind of need to do something similar over here. And actually, just for the sake of being able to power these easily, I should probably actually just put some item drains down so I don't have to worry about that. And luckily, again, we don't have to name this post box as that's going to be where things are picked up from. But I am going to need to place a frog port on top of here. I'll make this one only send packages. In theory, if we just leave a wildcard in here, that should just pick up anything coming off. That's the hope anyway. Now what I'm also going to do is actually try and bring some power around to our chain conveyor over at our train station. And then with that hooked up, I'm going to do a little temporary test here. What I'm essentially going to do is just place a sign on here for SMF, which is what our factory is called. We'll activate this lever. And let's say I want to send this sign over. All right, of course, it's just going to go into this post box and then sit there. Okay, well, we'll ignore that and pretend that we... how about we throw it back in? Okay, actually, you know what? Forget that. We're changing this to a barrel real quick so that can just be placed in there. Unfortunately, this frog picked it up straight away, which is not what I wanted. God, okay. I'm glad I was giving this a test. We'll make this frog grab from this side, as that's the way that it's coming up from. And again, we can just add a star to this. And this one can place things down after that. In theory, it shouldn't cause any problems. So, if we try this again, we'll throw our thing in. The frog places it onto the thing. This frog picks it up and places it into this post box, as we can see. Then once the boat comes over, The package should have gone into one of these barrels, I'm thinking. This one. And then once we pull up to this dock, should appear in one of these boxes. Although it doesn't actually seem to have worked. You know what? I 100% forgot to hook it up to the train station. That's why. So we name this SMF. There we go. Cardboard package has now appeared in here. I need to make sure I hook up the other post box as well correctly. Of course, once I actually get power to this, this can then be moved to the inside, and assuming it's probably going to be raw, I can then start making some of our packed mud. So let me just remove all this for now, knowing that pretty much works how I want it to, and place back our post box. And then the next thing I kind of need to do is figure out our train situation. I think if we head back to our train yard, and we do have our existing train here, but I don't want to use this one, and I'm thinking of making a second one. Though actually, first what I am going to do is it's already deassembled, so I'm going to just remove this chute, because honestly, it doesn't make any sense to be there. Then I think I'm just going to place some trapdoors on the top here. And I think that makes that look a little bit less empty at the back there. And then let's reassemble the train. Hopefully that all glued together properly. And I actually got a recommendation for this train name from JB Shorts 10 for the Crimson Arrow. And I honestly really love that name, so thank you for the suggestion. I appreciate it. Although it might help if I actually name the train and not the train station. But I think what I'm actually going to do here is grab a schematic of our train engine over here, because I think I just want to kind of duplicate what I already have here. And honestly, I think I did a pretty good job of it. And we can use our schematic cannon again to probably just place the train over here. And then I guess maybe switch out some of the colors. Okay, so let's grab a schematic of our train engine here, making sure I don't miss any bits sticking out on any of the sides. And we can just say this is train engine, I think. If we get our cannon down, grab our train engine and place a schematic down, making sure that it's actually high enough. And of course, this does mean it's gonna need some red brushed metal. And then I'm gonna have to change it to a different color, so that's gonna be a little bit of a waste, but who cares? Throw it into our schematic cannon, grab our clipboard, we can go and grab all these different materials. And with all those materials grabbed, we can place this down next to our cannon. And I did have to go mining for coal again, because I forgot how many coal blocks this uses. However, it should now all be enough for what we need. Although apparently I did forget a few things. Though actually I was just missing the bell. I'm not sure why these two aren't registering when we definitely have them in here. Although actually apparently I did leave the andesite ladder in my storage, so whoops. I did however craft 2 more train casings anyway, because I'm pretty sure I need 4 for this. But let's cannon in this train real quick. And there we go, there's our 2 very much duplicate trains right next to each other. And I think what I want to do is replace the red with brown, which I realize is, you know, perhaps not the most pretty color. But considering it's going to be like the mud, dirt, and straw train, I think brown makes sense. So luckily we don't need any kind of dye for this, so I can just pretty much just grab directly what I need from our stone cutter here and just kind of go around and replace all these bits. And brown, what a nice color. I'm already half regretting this, but I'm committing. And then for back here, I guess we can also use some of this brown steel boilers as well. I was thinking of scoria, but I think this does just as well. For our carriages, I have also made another schematic for these that already kind of replicates what we already have over here. Just the bottom part. Now, quickly cannon these in as well. And I've opted to go for 3 carriages for now. 1 for mud, 1 for packed mud, and 1 for straw. And I need to more or less just come up with some designs for the top of these. So these first 2 carriages are going to be more or less the same. I'm going to actually just place a bunch of mud down. And I've made sure to add a little bit of height variance. And then what I can do is now start placing some of these panels on. And I'm also going to use some layers too to add a little bit of depth, and use a mixture of some of this deep slate pillar as well as this block of industrial plating, which is slightly different from industrial iron, and it's from design and decor, but essentially it allows you to place the same material but it kind of connects up instead. And I think that looks a lot better. And then I also kind of want to wrap this around with some of these slices. I am going to probably remove these ladders so I can do it up the side as well. I think essentially something along those lines. And I just need to repeat that for the other sides and the other carriage. And there we go. That is those two carriages done. And then for our final one over here, I want to place some straw. And I think I'm going to place down some kind of supporting structure onto the train cart, just to make it look a bit more attached. Well, the kind of lines that actually keep all the straw together kind of also makes it look like it's more attached as well. So I think that looks just fine. And now we need to just more or less make this into a train. And I did kind of forget to place a train station down. So I think I need to put it underneath that wheel for it to work properly. So I create a new train and then assemble. I think we should all be good. If it looks like all the carriages have attached themselves, then if we get in our train, hopefully... Oh, you know what? It might help if I actually glued the top of the carriages to the bottom of the carriages. Kind of forgot I made them separately. Okay, now hopefully we should all be good. And it does seem to be all attached. Oh, wait. Oh no, never mind. That was just a visual bug. Okay, there we go. There is our second train more or less done. Now it is effectively on the wrong line at the moment, because it's probably going to have to pull up into here instead. Because if we go into our map view, I have trains running on the left-hand side. And so what I probably should do is replace these 3 tracks so they actually attach to this line. And so any trains coming this way will come down into here. And I've already added a bit of a loop part to come back on themselves, at least on this particular track. Because although I have not built our train shed here yet, I think that's what I'm going to do for these 3 lines and have them connect up to our postage system, just like the other 3 lines are. Okay, so I was just editing the last few clips and I've come to a realization since about 5-ish minutes into the video, and now I messed up my audio settings and my game volume was attached to my mic. And so now the game is going to be way too loud and I can't change anything about it. Yay! I will say I did go through my clips and try and reduce the volume of some of it, as well as re-recorded a few lines, but sorry about that. What I'm going to do now is head back to my farm area, because I'm going to need to set up our truck here to be able to deposit onto trains coming by. So I'm going to need to hook up another mailbox to the train station, have some more item drains, and then hook up this one to our other train station over here. And I'm going to call this box Wildcard Farm S for farm station, and also I guess add a wildcard at the end. So any parcel containing that will get dropped off into this post box here and then onto our train. So if we then head back to our mud factory again, I'm going to set up a little temporary system here. What I'm going to do here is just set up a stock link here, attach a factory gauge, and then place some straw in here to monitor. And then I'm going to ask for 1 stack. Now, of course, what we do need to do is start putting in a address here so that it can come all the way from our farm area all the way over here. And I think for our address we need farm S for the farm, STS for the swamp train station, and then SMF for swamp mud factory. And so that has now turned on. And then if we head back to the farm area, although I almost forgot that I need to have a chunk loader here. Make sure that's 3x3 as well. And that should keep everything here probably loaded. We come over to our farm area and we can now see that we have straw waiting in this post box and has actually just been picked up by the truck outside. And that's now moving around our farm area. So we just need to wait to get it to the train station. And now this should, in theory, come off of here. Yep, it sure did. It's now in this post box. Perfect. We come over to our train yard here. I'm going to disassemble this real quick, because one thing I did kind of forget to do was add a form of storage. So there we go. Reassemble, and then we can take our train to the farm area. Then if we pull up to this train station, we should see that little flag drop down. And oh, apparently we dropped off something else? Oh, okay, I see what's happened here. I think because we have farm for this, it decided to empty it straight out. Okay, I guess I didn't think that one through. I think what I'll do is I'll actually call this straw station just to prevent confusion. And we'll reset this back up so this says straw S. And then I'll save on that and then get rid of our open promises so it actually asks for it again. Now in theory, this parcel should go straight into the train, which this went straight down, so I believe it has. So then if we take our train all the way to the mud factory, and when we arrive at the station here, it should come straight out, which it has. Quickly chase us down, and it's now ready for the boat to pick up. Oh, I missed a lily pad. Oh well. That is now in here. And when we pull up in the dock here, it should place it into there. And here it is, all the way over from our farm area. And now all we need to do here really is set this up properly so that we can actually make our packed mud. There we go. I've changed the setup here so that it now makes some packaged mud. Any mud that's being made from over here is being split in half and placed into these mixers, and then whenever we have straw coming in from the train and boat, it will make the packaged mud that we want. Now I've just got to reset up this factory gauge to this packager, and the system should be more or less fully working once I get our train over there a driver. I think this cow can come and be our driver. And for our schedule, we pretty much want it to move in between the farm station and the swamp train station. We'll make this wait for like at least a minute, I think, at the farm station. And then once it comes over here, probably something similar. And then this train will just go back and forth and back and forth. So we've given our schedule to our cow, but obviously I need to add a quick loop around here for our train to turn around. And there's my very rudimentary loop in. I promise to make this look prettier at some point. But now, if we place down our train track here, train is able to successfully navigate. And this should now go all the way back to the farm. And hopefully it doesn't crash into any of my other trains that are on the lines right now and that I haven't signaled at all. Definitely not an issue. Off the train goes to the farm area. And at some point, I do want it to come through here and drop off any mud and packed mud that was made over at the factory, but that is not for this episode because I need to wrap up here because I am running late. So thank you everyone for watching today. I'm sorry that it was a bit of a weird one. We got a boat in, we got a train in, we got a train station, we got a new line, and then all my audio issues. What a fun time. Hopefully next week is a little bit less all over the place. So anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye for now.